Hi YouTube, today I'm going to do a video on swapping my fish tanks over. You can see I've got my Fluval Roma 125 set up now, and this video is me swapping it from the 90, and you'll see a bit of a disaster that I had with water all over the floor, and hopefully they pick up some useful tips if you need to swap substrate or swap tanks over, and what you should and shouldn't be doing with that. Hope you enjoy the video. If you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below. Okay, so now I've got everything sorted, I'll run you through all the equipment you're going to need to use to do the tank swap. So down here I've got the most important thing, which is like a substitute tank. So this could be a big bucket, it could be a box like this, anything that's not going to sort of leak plastic into the water, and it's only going to be used temporarily. So the reason you want a large temporary fish tank and also the water bottles there is because you're going to want to keep as much of the water as possible, all of it if you can, and you don't want to sort of do a siphon or anything like that. You just want to get the clean water into these canisters. Now what you're going to do, or what I'm going to do, is fill that halfway full, catch all the fish, and then I'll use these bottles, these containers, to hold the rest of the water. Now the reason I want to do it that way is because when I put the other tank in, I've got 50 litres of water that I can put in it, so then I can swap the fish straight back into it, and that stops them being stressed out. This whole process is all about keeping the fish as calm as possible, and also making sure that you don't mess around with your cycled tank. So keep the water, keep the filter media, keep the filter running as much as you can, because if you don't, if you have your filter off for sort of 3-4 hours whilst you're doing this, or you go off for lunch or something, then you're likely going to affect the bacteria growth that's in your filter. Now, another thing I've got here is this is dechlorinated, so this could go in the tank ready, water, and it's to rinse all the plants and all of my hardscape, all of the rocks and that kind of stuff, ready to go into the new tank. Now, I use 50/50 RO, so 50% RO, 50% normal tap water, and what I'm going to have to do is, when I've got these back, is go over to Maidenhead Aquatics and fill those back up with RO, and then I can top my tank up with a 50/50 mix. But for the purpose of just rinsing the plants, dechlorinated tap water, perfect. Now the other thing that I do, I've got this lovely new piece of bogwood that came with the tank that I'm going to try and use in the aquascape, but also substrate. Now swapping substrate over is a complete pain in the butt. So what I've just done is gone out to B&Q and bought some more sand. Now this sand is like £4, and realistically what I'll do is probably put all of that in the new tank and then see if I can reuse some of the sand out of this one as well and put it on top. Depends what it looks like. If it's really dirty, disgusting, I'm probably not going to use it. Now this is all about preparation, so I've pre-washed this. I did it yesterday and then I left it in some water overnight just to settle. Now finally, obviously you need a siphon to get all the water out. Now this is a little trick that I got from Pond Guru. Like, his filter media is awesome, you've seen my review on that, but he made like a fish catcher on one of his videos, quite an old video, so I've just replicated that. Now it's just a bottle with its lid cut off, and that goes in the corner of the tank, and then you just push the fish into it, because I want to get the fish out as quickly and easy as possible, get them into there, and then sort out all of the rest of it afterwards. I started getting the water out, and you'll see in a second I had a bit of a disaster that wasn't quite what I was after. You can see it just coming out now. And then here's my face looking back at the tank going, oh crap. Well, I don't know how much of that you saw, but when I was doing the sand last night, I did it in the big bucket to like store it overnight, and then as I was pouring it into the smaller one and sorting that all out, I thought, better be careful with this because I don't want to crack the bottom of it. And then as I was filling the bucket, well, filling the box up, water all over the floor. So, new box. Right, let's try again. Thank God this bucket was alright. So now I'm just going to drain out half the water, and then I'll be ready for the fish to go into it. Right, now it's time to try and get the fish out, so we'll see how this works. In hindsight, the bottle thing was pretty hard, and I couldn't really quite get them in there, so I ended up using sort of a combination of 2 nets, the bottle and everything, and then I kind of started taking out some of the aquascape as well, just because I couldn't get the remaining tetras out. They're a right bugger to catch. That was a mission. So everything's out. All I'm going to do now is wait for this to settle slightly and then stick it in there. Literally like 2 minutes I'll give it. Just won't touch it, and then stick the rest in the buckets and get the other tank on. You can put the water in any buckets that you got really. I've got these remaining canisters that hold 25 litres each. I've probably got about 40 litres out of the tank. So I've put the sand in. I think I'm all right there. So I'm putting the first bit of water in, and to do that you can see I've got a little bag here. It just stops things going everywhere and it will slowly fill up. Stuff's going to move around. Don't quite know how it's going to turn out, what it's going to look like, but you know, I'll probably rescape it another time, but we'll see what it looks like. Unfortunately my camera ran out of battery whilst I was doing the first part of the aquascape, but I'll just have to describe it on here. The large plants that you've got, you want to put those in first, so I had to root down that Amazon sword and a couple of the smaller ones first, and then I put the rocks around it. So put all your hardscape stuff in and your driftwood, anything like that, any large objects, and then you can sort out your smaller plants once you've got quite a bit of the water in. It's really hard to know what it's going to look like until once the water's in, because especially if you've got large plants, they kind of swamp everything. You can see, I don't know, you might be able to see the bottom of the filter has just got to the bottom of the water. So I'm going to turn the filter on in a minute and use it to kind of like get rid of all the sand around here, sort of wash stuff off a bit. I got a lot of the sand off with the siphon, but then you can see once I put the hose back on, I kind of push some of the sand off with that too. Like I said before, you want to run your filter for as long as possible, so now it's back on. It lets your bacteria not sort of deteriorate in the filter. So you can see now I sort of split up all of the smaller plants into groups, into the different types, and then slowly planted them in when I had sort of half the tank full. Once I got a lot of that stuff in and it was ready, I put the fish in, but basically I didn't want to do this whilst the fish are in there because it's just going to stress them out. Make sure you turn your lights off when you're putting your fish in. It'll just make them relax a bit more because they're going to be really stressed from all of that messing around and stuff. The fish are in, and I'm just going to put the last amount of water in, and then I'll go off to Maidenhead and get some RO. I'll update you once I've come back. That video was from last Saturday, so the tank's been running and set up for a week now. You can see that it's got a slight haze to it, but it's pretty good now. I run carbon in the filter, which polishes the water pretty good, and also I rinsed the sand a lot before I did the tank swap, which helped out loads. Like from the first few hours, the tank was actually pretty clear. I was pretty pleased with the scape. Kind of came. I wanted it to look pretty similar to the 90, but you can see I've got that big bit of bogwood in there now. In the middle, I'm probably going to move some of the red plants, I think, from the front back to the back and bring the skull out a little bit further. But yeah, hopefully you like it. Hopefully you like what I did, and the video is useful. If you've got any comments, just chuck them in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.